There's no secret formula, no magic talent, no chosen ones. The truth is simple. You can be the best at anything if you're willing to pay the price. Not the price in money, but in discipline. Focus, consistency, hunger. Most people want it, but they don't decide. They wish, they hope, but the best. They commit. And if you're prepared to take it up, to be great, not good, to dominate, not simply compete, then this is your moment. The key to becoming the best at something starts with a decision, a genuine decision. Not one taken in the heat of the moment, but one taken with profound clarity, fueled by determination. More people never actually make the decision. They experiment, they feel out the water. But the very best don't put a toe into the pool. They plunge. They don't say, I'll try it. They say, I'm going to do it. Regardless, there's a distinction between interest and dedication. When you're interested in something, you do it when it is convenient. When you are dedicated, you do it even when it is inconvenient, painful, or uncomfortable. The best decision has to be chiseled in stone, not drawn in sand. And by the way, making a decision doesn't necessarily mean the way is about to get clearer and easier. But what it does mean is you get clear, and clarity makes power. You no longer waste energy on distractions. You no longer negotiate with your excuses. When you make a firm decision, the noise quiets. You no longer awaken wondering whether today is the day to act. You already know that it is. The choice serves as a compass. It keeps you on track, even when life attempts to nudge you off track. However, how do you choose with clarity? Get honest first. Honest about where you are. Honest about what you want. Honest about what you're afraid of. Honesty is the cornerstone of every decisive decision. Individuals shy away from decisions require responsibility. And responsibility is burdensome. But if you wish to bear the weight of excellence, you need to pick up the weight of responsibility first. Take charge of your life. Take charge of your direction. Do not wait for permission or for the ideal time. The best do not wait, they decide. After making the decision, something amazing happens within. You become no longer a wanderer and instead begin to become a warrior. You don't ask if it can be done anymore. The tentative remain mired in the mud. The resolute start moving mountains. They understand the door to greatness isn't locked. It's just heavy. And it won't open until you take the handle in both hands and commit to pushing until it opens. Now for the second step, the key to all success. Working harder on yourself than you do on your job. That simple concept transformed the lives of thousands of people over the years, and it is still true. Your success will never be greater than your personal growth. If you grow, everything else grows. Your income increases. Your confidence increases. Your influence increases. Your results increase. But everyone else spends their time on the outside, polishing the resume, the profile, the appearance. The best, they focus on the inside. They cultivate the mind, the heart, the discipline, the attitude. Because they know that what you are is worth more than what you do. If you want to be the best at anything, you have to become worthy of it. You don't command greatness. You draw it out by the individual you are. That is fueling your mind every day. Not entertainment alone, but education. It is reading the books that provoke you, hearing the concepts that challenge you, and staying away from those people who drain you. You become what you take in. And if you're taking in trash all day, don't wonder when your outcomes are trash as well. Working on yourself is finding your weaknesses without shame. The best don't keep their flaws hidden from themselves. They reveal them, then they repair them. They understand that if they desire better, they must be better. That could look like developing your discipline, learning how to concentrate, growing your communication skills, or gaining control over your emotions. And you won't gain control over those things by chance. You must prepare for them, just as an athlete prepares their body. Begin small. You do not need to be a genius overnight. Simply outgrow who you were yesterday. If you were lazy yesterday, be consistent today. If you were scared yesterday, take one courageous step today. If you were distracted yesterday, have one clear goal today. That is how growth occurs, not in huge leaps, but in regular climbs. The best build themselves one brick at a time, day by day, hour by hour. And those bricks compound, they turn into walls, then into towers, then into empires. And all of it starts with a man or woman who says, I'm going to work on me. Now here's a little truth that most avoid. This kind of self-work isn't glamorous. It's often done in silence. There's no applause. Nobody congratulates you for waking up early to read a book or journal your goals or keeping a promise to yourself. But over time, those quiet victories turn into loud results. And the people who once looked over you begin to ask, how did you do it? And you'll smile because you'll know it wasn't magic. It was mindset. The best understand outer results are just a reflection of inner practices. If you're not developing yourself on the inside, don't expect breakthroughs on the outside. That's why developing yourself is never time wasted. It's the most effective thing you can do. It's the seed that becomes every harvest you desire. Desire more wealth. Develop your value. Desire more respect. Develop your character. Desire more opportunities. Develop your skill set. Need more peace. Develop greater emotional mastery. All that you desire is on the other side of who you are becoming. There will be days when you don't want to do the work. Days when life gets you out of sync. That's fine. The best are not flawless. They're tenacious. They get up. They reset. They refocus. And they never stop refining themselves. Because they understand that being the best is not a label. It's a lifestyle. And that way of living starts not with fortune or ability, but with a choice and an attitude to expand. If you wish to become the greatest at something, you must do something that most individuals never get serious about. Practice. Not simply repetition, but purposeful, dedicated, disciplined practice. Most people just do what is necessary. The best of us do in excess of what is asked. We practice as if it is a sacred ritual. We go at it as an artist and not a laborer, as a craftsman and not as a clock puncher. And they know that how you do the little things is how you do everything. So if you practice sloppily, you'll play sloppily. If you practice intentionally, you'll play with accuracy. Between great and good usually lies one word: preparation. The greatest don't wait until the last minute to prepare. They prepare continuously. They construct their craft like a blacksmith shaping steel, again and again, punch after punch. It's not glamorous, and 9 times out of 10, nobody's looking. But that's where champions are forged. And the unheralded, unseen moments, while others are sleeping, they hasten. When others are giving up, they press on. When others are being distracted, they're tuned in. They don't require motivation. They're fueled by discipline, and discipline trumps motivation every time. Now, here's something you might want to put in writing. The best do what they do even when they don't want to. That's the point of no return for most. Feelings pass. Standards remain. You don't practice because you feel like it. You practice because you've decided to be great. That transition, emotional to deliberate, is what makes amateurs professional and, well, everything else, merely amateur. The best get this. They don't pursue feelings. They create habits, and their routines get them through the days when inspiration nowhere exists. If you wish to be exceptional at something, you can't simply put it on autopilot. Practice has to be undertaken with presence, with awareness, with fixation. There is a reason that the great ones rehearse the fundamentals hundreds, even thousands of times. It's not because they are dull-witted. It's because they realize mastery through repetition, and not merely duplicating it, but polishing it, purifying it, sharpening. A master of one's craft is a person who has performed the same act so many times, in so many different sets of conditions, that it becomes second nature. But that doesn't come automatically. That comes when you approach your practice as preparation for your moment. Every repetition counts, every hour of it. You won't necessarily see the progress immediately, but development is always taking place in the background. The roots develop before the fruit, so don't get discouraged when it seems like it's slow. Don't quit because nobody's paying attention. Keep showing up. Keep improving. Keep adapting. The greatest trust the process. The process repays them eventually. When you learn about the best in any area, business, music, sports, public speaking, you see the same thing. An abiding respect for the basics. They don't move past the fundamentals. Instead, they double down on them because they understand it's the foundation that everything rests on. They've had the humility to do the dull work all the time, and that's what enables them to shine when it's time to dazzle. So ask yourself, how do you practice your craft? Do you cut corners on it, or do you take your time? Do you concentrate, or do you just go through the motions? The way you practice is the way you play. If you want world-class performance, deliver world-class effort, even when nobody's watching. Especially when nobody's watching. because that's when champions are created. And now we come to an area that far too many forget or overlook altogether: serving others. You see, being the best isn't about honing your own skills. It's about taking those skills and making a difference. The best don't merely stockpile talent, they put it to work for others. They know that excellence is not for approval, it's for influence. It's not about surpassing everyone else. It's not about becoming better than others. It's about becoming so good that your work elevates everyone around you. Serving with excellence means that every interaction is an opportunity to provide value. Whether you are speaking with one person or 1,000, whether you are writing a note or creating a product, your mindset is the same. You give your best. You show up fully. You deliver more than anticipated. That sort of energy is magnetic. It attracts people to you. It earns trust. And in a day and age of shortcuts and complacency, excellence announces itself like a beacon. Now the secret is this: serving isn't merely about doing more. It's about doing it in the right spirit. You can serve egolessly. You can lead humbly. You can give unconditionally. That kind of spirit turns skill into significance. It turns talent into legacy. Humans will forget what you said, but remember how you made them feel. And when your work benefits others, it takes on substance, significance, depth. You're no longer just acting, you're giving. This is where the greatest find fulfillment, not in titles or trophies, but in having known they left things better than they found them. Be it a customer, a student, a client, a listener, doesn't matter. The question is always the same. Did you add value? Did you help them grow? Did your work move someone ahead? Serving with excellence also establishes your reputation. It opens doors you don't have to pursue because people begin to pursue you. Not because you invited them to, but because your work screams louder than any advertisement could ever scream. When you serve others with excellence, they become your ambassadors. They tell others, they bring other people. Because they believe in you. And trust is the richest currency in any business, any profession, any vocation. But serving is not simple. There are going to be times when people don't seem to notice. Times when you give your all and receive little back. That's when your mentality comes into play. You keep giving, you keep showing up. You keep doing the work not for recognition, but because that is what you are. The best don't serve on reward. They serve on identity. And for that reason, the reward winds up coming anyway. To be best, keep in mind that greatness is not necessarily what you do. It's what you give. And giving begins with service, with being present when it's inconvenient, with doing more than you have to, with looking at the other person, not only at yourself. The world is yours for the taking for those who serve it well. And the path to the top is for those who construct others as they ascend. One of the most critical qualities of the people who reach the top, the people who actually become excellent at what they do, is consistency, particularly when it's dull. Anyone can arrive when it's novel, when the adrenaline is high, when the vision is still shining in your brain, like a brand new car without a single scratch. But the true test is on the mundane days, when no one is rooting for you, when things are slow going, when you do not feel like doing it. That's when champions emerge. That's when professionals are distinguished from amateurs. The best know that achievement is not constructed from feeling. It's constructed from habit. And habit is constructed by showing up whether you like it or not. There will always be times when the spark wears off, when the task feels like a chore, when the progress stalls. That's the part that no one discusses. It's not the highlight reel. It's not exciting. It's not Instagram friendly. But it exists, and how you cope with those times will determine how far you will go. Most people give up not because it was too difficult, but because it became too repetitive, too quiet, too normal. But the best, they figure out a way to keep moving. They don't rely on outside motivation. They've conditioned themselves to continue working once the applause is gone, once the newness wears off, once the highway seems like it's never going to end. You see, success is a slow burn, a long game, the compound effect of small actions done repeatedly, not spectacularly. That's what keeps dreamers distinct from deliverers. You don't have to be radical, just consistent. Each day that you show up even a little bit, you add another brick. And slowly but surely, brick by brick, you create something solid. But if you quit each time it is boring, you'll be starting all over. And starting all over again is tiring. The actual power lies in not quitting even on the boring days. Consider the farmer. He doesn't see fruit the next day after planting. He does not uproot the seed every few days to see whether it is growing. He has faith in the process. He arrives every day, waters the ground, guards the crop, and waits, and it is the same for you. You will not always see the immediate result, but if you continually sow the correct habits, water the correct disciplines, guard your mind, the harvest will arrive. Consistency is subtle at first, then explosive subsequently. There's also something strong that occurs when you grapple through boredom. You build grit, mental toughness. You demonstrate to yourself that your dedication isn't convenience-driven. That's where confidence develops, not easy victories. But by exhibiting to yourself, you can withstand. The greatest don't construct their identity off outcome, off resilience. They realize that boredom is a part of ascent, not an indicator to go back. So when things slow down, they move in. When they get stale, they double their efforts. When others are sailing, they're building. Now let's discuss something as vital as who you're around. Because if you want to be the best, you can't keep hanging out with people determined to be average. That sounds mean, but it's real. You end up being like those you surround yourself with. Their language is your language. Their habits become your habits. Their standards affect your own. So if you're around people who settle, complain, procrastinate, and make excuses, sooner or later you will too, whether you know it or not. But when you're around people who aim higher, who push you, who refuse to let you get away with anything, something happens. Your standards go up, your attention gets sharper, your excuses get smaller. You start to stretch outside of your comfort zone because they believe in you more, and you begin believing in yourself more. That's the strength of the right environment. It propels you onward. It won't allow you to remain stagnant. The greatest realize that development does not occur in a vacuum. It occurs in relationship with the correct individuals. At times that involves having difficult conversations. At times it means leaving behind the relationships that are weighing you down. That isn't selfish, that is survival. You can't fly with eagles if you're flying with chickens. You can't create a masterpiece in a room full of people stabbing holes in the canvas. The best are extremely choosy about their group. They know that each voice in your life is either nurturing your potential or nourishing your fears. Choose carefully. But it's not about cutting people off as much as it is about finding people. Find people who've done what you want to do. Find people who are climbing their own mountains. Find voices that speak life, wisdom, and challenge into your everyday. You don't need cheerleaders. You need truth tellers. People who won't tell you what a great job you did, but will sharpen you. Who will tell you you're better than this when you're slacking? Who will ask, well, what's next? When you get comfortable, those are the relationships that elevate you. And don't just seek out individuals who are where you desire to be, that individual for others as well. Iron sharpens iron. If you wish to increase, assist others in increasing. If you wish to lead, serve. If you wish to ascend, elevate someone else. That sort of energy builds momentum. It constructs a culture of excellence about you, and that culture is your incubator for greatness. If you're around excellence long enough, it becomes the standard. You no longer settle. You no longer apologize for wanting the best. You begin to think differently, behave differently, move differently. And that's precisely what you must do if you wish to become the best. You can't grow beyond your circle. Therefore, if your circle is small-minded, negative, or passive, you'll remain stuck. But if your circle is driven, disciplined, and full of vision, you'll start leveling up without even realizing it. The reality is that no one attains greatness alone. We're influenced by the company we keep. So go with winners, go with warriors. Go with individuals who speak the best of you, even when you can't see it in yourself. Go with individuals who challenge your comfort, not your value. Individuals who have faith in your potential, but will not allow you to squander it. That's the tribe you should have. That's the space where greatness flourishes. So remember, in order to be great at something, you've got to get there even when it's not fun. And you've got to stay around individuals who will not accept average. Consistency and company. One makes your habits stronger, the other refines your mind. And both together produce a foundation that is almost unbreakable. If you really do want to be the best at something, you must be committed to entering the discomfort zone and hanging out there longer than most folks will. Growth and comfort don't go hand in hand. The minute something gets too comfortable, you can bet that you've ceased growing. Discomfort is not an indication that something is amiss. Discomfort is an indication that something is occurring. Change is occurring regardless. Muscles are developing. Habits are being destroyed. Vision is being sharpened. And though it doesn't feel good at the time, it's the very place where progress germinates. The majority of folks spend their entire lives attempting to steer clear of discomfort. They pursue ease, seek shortcuts, and seek ways that produce results without suffering. But it doesn't work this way. Not if you aim to be the best. There is no excellence that exists without resistance. All great performers, speakers, athletes, and entrepreneurs have tales of uncertainty, fear, rejection, awkwardness, and failure. They did not arrive by avoiding all that, by navigating through it. They leaned into the struggle. They stopped running from it and began learning from it. Discomfort is the tuition you pay for growth. You want confidence? You must confront fear of embarrassment. You desire strength? You must bear the agony of repetition. You desire clarity? You must grapple with confusion. The process is uncomfortable, but that's why it's effective. Because very few will tolerate it long enough to gain from it. And the longer you remain uncomfortable, the more it starts to instruct. It teaches patience. It is a teacher of grit. It teaches you that you're much stronger than your comfort zone ever lets you realize. Each time you opt for discomfort over ease, you make a deposit to your potential. And those deposits compound. You begin to see yourself differently. You no longer require outside validation. You come to trust your own process. The discomfort feels familiar, not easier, but more manageable. And what intimidated you becomes part of your rhythm. That's how growth happens. Not in giant leaps, but in consistent steps through uncomfortable ground. What's worth noticing is that discomfort does not always equal pain or destruction. Sometimes it's discreet. It's in deciding on silence when you want to fight. It's in rising before the sun if your body demands rest. It's in refusing when others demand yes. It's in completing one more rep, one more call, one more draft when your mind dictates that's enough. These are the micro moments of character building, and the best pay heed to them. They don't look only for the big wins. They search for the small edges, the quiet disciplines, the unseen choices that compound power over time. So when the discomfort appears, and don't fight it. Utilize it. Let it mold you. Let it stretch you. Because on the other side of that discomfort is everything you tell me you want. And more times than not, it's not your talent that's holding you back. It's your comfort. The best break through that barrier, and they do it repeatedly. And now we come to a principle that continues to fan the flames. Never arrive. Never settle. The instant you believe you've made it, you're at risk. Because the hunger begins to disappear. The edge grows dull. The discipline erodes. And comfort moves in under the guise of success. The greatest never allow themselves to think they're done. Regardless of how successful they become, they remain a student. They continue to learn, they continue to ask themselves what's next isn't a destination, it's a direction. When you examine individuals who are elite in their profession, you can see something. They're addicted to getting better. Not neurotically so, but intensely so. They're more fond of the process than the accolades. They don't take last year's victory for granted. They realize yesterday's trophy isn't going to win today's race. They appreciate what they've done, but they don't camp there. They use it as fuel to move forward. That's what keeps them razor sharp when others become soft, concentrated when others take it easy, improving while others deteriorate. Never arriving also means you don't get too familiar with your own mind. You remain open, you remain curious, you pose better questions, you test your assumptions, because the best ideas tend to come after you've already thought you've heard them all. The best breakthroughs occur after years of repetition. The best breakthroughs tend to happen immediately after the moment you're about to say, I've got this sorted out. That's why you should never close the book on your growth. And it's not about skills or strategy, it's about attitude. Remaining humble, remaining hungry, keeping your ego in its place. Ego likes to quietly say, you're there now, you've made it. But growth says louder, there's more in you, keep moving. The instant you believe you've surpassed acquiring knowledge is the instant you begin to shrink. So you remain keen by remaining a learner. You safeguard your gains by extending your edge. When you live that way, when you embrace the mentality of, I'm always going to be getting better, you start loving the process itself. You cease pursuing perfection and you begin pursuing development. You cease comparing yourself to other people and you begin comparing yourself to what you can be. And that's the mentality that makes you threatening, not to other people, but to your own limits. You become the type of person who's continually climbing, continually discovering, continually reaching. Not because you're never content, but because you're alive. You know that life is expansion, and the moment that you stop expanding is the moment that you start decaying. The best never allow their drive to exceed their discipline. They don't dream, they do. They don't talk, they train. And they know that the game is never over. You don't win at life, and then it's done. You are winning each day. By arriving, by stretching, by honing, by being committed to the process, not the end point. This attitude is the fuel that propels you forward when the crowds have thinned and the stage lies empty. So celebrate when you pass a milestone, but don't set up camp. Use that victory as evidence that your work is paying off. Use it to get momentum, not to create a pedestal. Because the minute you feel you've reached there is the minute you start to fall. The best know there's always another level, always another layer. Always a higher standard. Not because they're never satisfied, but because they know that excellence is a moving target. And they've made peace with the pursuit. Being the best doesn't begin with talent. It begins with a choice. A moment of insight where you declare, I will no longer live another day as a version of me that accepts less. You choose, then you adhere, and once chosen, the actual work starts. Because success is something you draw in by the individual you become. You create habits. You create mindset. You develop the type of character that is capable of shouldering success. And when motivation's fire burns out, as it inevitably does, you remain consistent. You do the repetitions. You hone your edge. You report for duty when it's dull, when it's painful, when nobody's looking. That's where your edge builds, in quiet. But you don't do it for you. You do it to serve, to add value, to make a difference in others. Because true greatness is not egotistical. It raises the room when you enter. And as you go up, you serve your surroundings. You get around people who challenge you, not coddle you, who set the bar higher for you. Because mediocrity company will destroy greatness quicker than failure ever will. And in the midst of all this, you lean into the awkwardness. You don't hide from difficult things. You charge towards them. Because you know growth is conceived in the fire, not the comfort zone. But even when you achieve milestones, even when others tell you you've made it, you don't stop. Because the best never arrive. They keep evolving, keep climbing, keep growing. They don't pursue perfection. They pursue progress. And in that pursuit, they become unstoppable. Not because they're better than everyone else, but because they become better than who they used to be. So stop waiting. Decide. Build yourself. Serve well. Outgrow average. And never settle on undefined, because being the best, it's not something you're born with. It's undefined. It's something you acquire.